Hey, now it's Brace for Impact, and I'm your host, Mike Gilbert, and I'm going solo on that S, but it's still the same. We're talking Impact Wrestling, or should I say TNA Wrestling, right here on a beautiful, beautiful Saturday, Veterans Day morning. Swig of coffee for all the veterans out there. Man, so I had a tough night. We were planning on getting up early and going out to a beach up on the north side of Oahu to take our pictures. We were going to do sunrise pictures. And last night, I don't know what happened, but my daughter in the middle of the night started vomiting. And so she came in, she woke us up. This was like 1 or 2 in the morning. And yeah, it was pretty bad. And she, it got all cleaned up, took care of her, put her back into bed. My wife ended up just laying in bed with her. And then she woke up vomiting again. And then she ended up coming into the bedroom with us. We have like an extra bed in our room for her for nights like this, and so she was laying in there, and then she ended up getting up, going to the toilet, vomiting a third time, and then she just had a real bad stomach bug or something. She seems not okay now, but needless to say, we did not do our pictures. I was supposed to be doing family pictures this morning, but instead, I get to record with you guys. I was worried that I wasn't going to be able to do this today. But here we are. We're live. We're live on Patreon. So if anybody from the Patreon hops in, be sure to shout yourself out. I appreciate you guys all being here. But kind of a slow news week for TNA, which is fine. It doesn't have to be a big time news week every single week for me to be able to crank out some quality content right here on Brace for Impact. But there is some stuff that I wanted to talk about. The first thing was, while I woke up waiting for my family to get up, I actually started watching an old episode of TNA Impact that the Impact Wrestling YouTube channel put up, and it was the very first Impact from the UK. This is from February of 2012, and I believe it was at Wembley Arena. I'm pretty sure that it was, and I remember watching this like at the time because I would come in and out of TNA back in the day. They would have a hard time keeping my attention for very long. Let's just say that, especially during that Hogan era. Like there was a lot of good stuff, but then there was a lot of stuff that was like, meh, I'm not into it. So, but I remember watching this episode and it's like this looked like a big time top tier professional wrestling promotion. It was just so awesome. Just the look of it, the crowd, big arena, thousands of people there. I don't know how many people were there, and I'm not going to look it up, but there was a ton. And I just started to think, and I was just like, there's no reason why they can't get back to that, right? I mean, like that is attainable. I think that they can do that again if they get the right momentum, they have the right stories, and of course they up their budget, not only with production but with talent. And that doesn't mean that they need to do what the TNA of old did, which was sign every single WWE free agent that was on the market. I think they need to be selective with that, and I think that they need to groom their own talent and create their own identity. Which means these 40 to 50-year-old guys that are going to be getting released coming up, that just got released and that are going to be released in the future, like be more selective with those guys. But some of them you might need, to get a little bit of attention. But like the Heaths and the Brian Myers. Like Brian Myers has been good for this company, don't get me wrong, but he's not anybody that people are tuning in to see. Like he's just kind of another guy on the show. I think he has a few different jobs with Impact, and that's cool. And he's a good guy to have around. But when those type of guys get released by WWE going forward, they really need to be choosy before they bring them in. And because I think that was one of the downfalls of the old TNA, is like they had this big inflated budget with a lot of guys who aren't producing, right? It's like you're not getting a return on investment with a ton of these guys. Like Heath was here for 3 years. And I guarantee you never really got your money's worth out of that guy. And that's not anything to say against him, but he came from WWE where he was getting a high salary. So naturally you're going to want, something like that, because you're used to that lifestyle, you're going to want quite a bit of money if you go to a TNA. And I get the feeling they paid him pretty decently. And so, and now he's gone, but, thankfully. And so I think that, there's a lesson in that. In 2012, they were doing big arenas, and I don't see any reason why, here we are coming up on 12 years later, like why, internationally, why they couldn't be doing that even this coming up year. I, they've been down for a while, but I see them gaining some momentum. Now the TV show right now it's dead. Okay. And that doesn't mean it's not a good fun show to watch. It is. It's just not really captivating anybody's attention right now. People just aren't talking about the weekly television show, because all anybody cares about and all anybody's interested in is what it's going to look like in 2024. In fact, there have been people that have talked to me because they kind of come to me for TNA topics. They're like, should I start watching TNA again? Because I'm kind of sick of AEW. That's happened more than once. And I will tell them, wait till Hard to Kill 2024. Because right now, the TV show is a lame duck. It's essentially dead. It's been fun to watch, and I like tonight's episode, and I'll get into recapping tonight's episode. But I just like, why don't you just wait till 2024 and see what they got. Start fresh there. And I think that TNA realizes that. I don't think that they're putting a ton into these TV shows, despite the fact that they're having really good matches. There's not a bunch of hype around these television shows, and the television shows are good. Everybody's just talking about the future. We're in this lame duck period. I just kind of wonder what everything's going to look like, and wonder, what it could be. And I was looking at that February 2012 episode of Impact from London, and I was like, damn, could we get to that again one day? And I think that they can. In London, could they do 9,000 people domestically? Man, a lot of things would have to happen before they get to that point. And I'm taking a look at these Hard to Kill ticket sales, and it was reported in the Observer that they did about 350 opening day, which was their best opening day on sale in forever. But not much has moved since then. So here, let me share screen. We're just going to go straight to the Ticketmaster website and take a look at this. So I pulled it up, and so you see all those blue dots there in these sections right here. I don't know if you guys can see my mouse. Those are the sections that they have opened up. These sections back here in the back, up here, up in the very top, those have not even been put on sale yet. I think what they're trying to do is they're trying to wait for all of this to go to a reasonable amount before they actually decide to put more resources into the show and sell these upper deck tickets. If they get this area, the upper deck, you're looking at getting into about 2,500 right now. What they've put on sale is a little over 1,100. And I think what they've sold right now is, from what I think people have done the count, they've sold, close to 500 tickets at this point. So we're, looking okay. But this right here, all this extra blue right here for these $35 seats, that is a bit alarming to me. Let's see, how much is this section right here? Yeah, $35. So the standard, up here, these are all $35. And then when you get down into here, let's see if that'll come up. Yeah, you're talking $110. So they sold some of the $110 seats. All the front row, a lot of the front row right around ringside have been sold, which you're going to be your hardcore fans. Those are the guys that go every single week. But then they're going to have to do some work to get rid of these upper deck seats right here. So more work to do. They've only got 2 matches announced. And I'll be honest, the 2 matches that they have announced are not exactly big time ticket selling matches. Those are typical matches that you'll see on any Impact Wrestling show, not TNA. Impact. So they're going to have to do something big here. And I'm curious to see what they're able to come up with. One thing that does have me worried is that same night, New Japan is running San Jose. And I talked about it last week, so I don't know that they're going to be able to bring over Osprey or Zack Sabre or Tanahashi or anybody like that for the show, and that might be tough. So, but they there are people out there that they could bring in. There are matches they can make that could actually sell the rest of those seats. So we're going to keep an eye on it. I am hopeful that they're able to you know get to the point where they're selling out that initial run, that initial thing, so those initial seats that they put on sale, and get to a point where they can open up the rest of them, and hopefully we're looking at getting about 2,000 people in there for the TNA debut. I think that would be ideal, but we'll see. I don't know if it's possible. I don't even know if it's well. Let me rephrase that. I think it's possible. I don't know that right now with what we're looking at, it's probable, unless they have a ace up their sleeve. And I'm just not sure that I even know what that ace could be. But we'll more to come. We'll keep watching it. I'll try to update the ticket sales, periodically. And because I think it's fascinating. I think this is this is clearly the biggest show in Anthem owned TNA history. Hold on, swig of coffee for Anthem. So, more to come on that. Now, their TV situation. As of now, they're still on Access, and that doesn't appear to be changing. Earlier this week, it was announced that WWE is moving their NXT show to the CW network. And Nick Houseman reported that CW, not only were they, obviously it was already broken that they not only were they in talks, at one point they had an agreement with NWA. And then whether it was the Sam Hain cocaine spot or whatever, looks like, I don't know if that deal completely fell through or if they're being moved to the app or what. So I don't know, but they do have a deal with WWE to bring over NXT to their network, and CW is it's in about the same amount of homes as USA, kind of a lateral move here. It's not really like a prestigious network. They were on that network before, but it was the old UPN. That was where SmackDown started. So it's like, it's, you got Fox, NBC, ABC, CBS, and then boom, number 5 in the broadcasting world would be CW, right? And then beneath them is like Ion and, like your whatever channel 0.3, like your extra stations, you got your PBSs and all, like those would be beneath those. So you're looking at like number 5, in the broadcast world, the free to air stations. Okay. And that's cool. And that's a good move for them. And I like that deal for them. But it did come out that CW was in negotiations with many wrestling companies to include NWA, to include WWE. They even approached Tony Khan about bringing Ring of Honor over, because CW is completely rebranding since they sold the network, and they have a new president, Brad Schwartz. He was the president of Pop TV. And Brad Schwartz had some success with the TNA back in the day. The one company that they didn't name that I was surprised to not see being named in that report was Impact. PW Insider even talked about it, like CW and TNA were never in conversations about going there. Now, I find that to be really fucking surprising and honestly disappointing, because, what does that tell us? Does that tell us that, Sean Ross Sapp has said on several occasions that Impact is shopping their show around all the time, but he never really provides any context to that. Like, there's no information about which networks. No networks get named. No real details of if meetings have happened and things like that. So I think it's just something that people in the company tell him, but they don't really provide any details or context. And them not being in on the CW stuff is surprising. So that tells me that either like Impact TNA was just not interested and they never talked to them at all, or Brad Schwartz and Anthem, they were business partners before, and that relationship has been soured. Now they put on a public face, so if everybody's getting along and everybody's nice, but the fact that they weren't even talking, it's kind of surprising, and it kind of tells me that maybe Brad Schwartz is just not interested in doing business with these guys. So it could be one of two things, right? Either CW is just not interested in being in bed with Anthem, or Anthem was just not interested in being in bed with CW, or not CW specifically, but just not moving the show off of Access. And that is surprising. I do think that it would take, a good money deal for them to move off of there, but if they would have went to CW, man, you're looking at doubling your viewership possibly, or doubling your capabilities. Like you're in the coverages in, twice as many homes. And then if they got a rights fee, maybe you're looking at doing something right around, collision numbers, right? I mean, I don't see why that wouldn't be possible. They aired on Thursday nights on CW. I think CW averages like 400 to 500,000. Every time TNA has been on a network, they've always been, either the top or one of the top shows on that channel throughout its history. And I don't see any reason why that couldn't have been the case. So, we'll see, man. I was just, when I read that, I was pretty disappointed, and I was kind of hoping that, I really was hoping that, they were, trying to at least, upgrade their stock in the wrestling space. And sticking with Access, it's just going to be really difficult to get people to go watch that show on Access. And it's going to be really difficult to get people to go to their YouTube service and pay to watch the show. When there's so much wrestling out there already, like that they can watch anywhere. It's going to be super difficult to carve that out, carve themselves a market, and compete, and to become, a solid number 3. But look, NWA is falling apart. They had this deal. It looks like they blew it. Billy's still saying there's a deal on the table with the Top 20 network. Now, he was saying Top 20, and I believe they were referring to CW. It'd come out that, when they were filming the Billy Corgan kind of reality show for CW, like there were cameras and people there with CW badges. So it was very clearly that was being recorded for CW. And then Billy was paying for that. He was paying to produce that, and he's hoping to get that reality show on that network to drive some attention to the NWA, much like UFC did for Spike TV back in the day with The Ultimate Fighter. Like, they didn't get a rights fee for that show. They paid for the show. Like, it was a time, like they produced it themselves, and I think it was either a time buy or an ad split. And I think that's what was happening here. And now they're in bed with WWE. So it looks like they're falling apart. Reports are coming out. I think Wade Keller reported that, lots of talent are unhappy and upset with everything that went down, because they were all looking forward to being on CW, and Billy might have blown that whole deal. So, we'll see. MLW falling apart too. Guys are abandoning ship. Hammerstone's is of the belief that he is going to get released soon. That came out in the Observer. I don't know that to be true. We'll see. But if and when he gets released, I fully expect TNA to make a play for him and to try to bring him in. I think that would be wise. He would be a good fit in TNA. So we'll be on Hammerstone watch for a while. The thing about to go back to the WWE TV situation, when they went to CW, right? And now it appears like Raw might be going to FX. So they're going to be on FX, USA, CW, and Peacock, right? So they're going to control the markets for those 4 brands. Now, what has happened before they before they merged with Endeavor and created the TKO, and Ari Emanuel got in charge, if a show was on, like, say, FX, that would have taken out the entire network of Disney, like all of the Disney networks. So FXX, FX movies, ESPN, ESPN Plus, Freeform, ABC, like all of those things would have been completely off of the table, because we saw what happened with Fox and MLW. Fox owns Tubi, and WWE is on Fox, and the allegation is that Tubi and MLW were close to a deal, and WWE nixed the deal, even though WWE is not on Tubi, but Tubi is owned by Fox, and so WWE nixed that deal. TKO, Endeavor, they don't operate like that. So when in the past, like that would have these deals, like them being in with a part of three different conglomerates, like Disney, Universal, and then CW is kind of a small time deal. So like the CW is not that big, but like that would have closed off all three of those media organizations, right? But TKO doesn't operate like that because UFC is on ESPN and ESPN Plus, and ESPN and ESPN Plus also have PFL, and they welcome their broadcasters to bring in other organizations that are fine with it. So could that open? Does so that what them going to all these different places that doesn't take off the table? You know, doesn't remove those networks from off the table is what I'm trying to get at. TNA going to an FX, right? I think that would be off the table, I think, because FX is probably not going to be spending money on two different wrestling promotions to have on their channel, because you can only have so much wrestling on one network. Um, would that still mean that maybe like an ESPN Plus could be a home? Maybe, I don't know. That was being talked about before, like those rumors were out there that they were in discussions because ESPN Plus is trying to become the home of combat sports. So I do find that interesting. So we'll keep looking out for that, and I know NBC owns like Sci-Fi, and maybe they'd want to do something on Sci-Fi. I don't know, probably not, but just tossing stuff out there. So, but the WWE not creating these exclusive deals with these broadcasting stations, I think, kind of opens up more opportunities for a company like TNA. That's basically what I'm getting at. That doesn't mean I think they're going to go to any of these networks, but I'm saying, like the opportunities are out there, right? Like they can actually negotiate, and like they're not completely off the table now like they were before, right? Because WWE doesn't have a deal with Sci-Fi; they have a deal with USA. But because they're with USA, that closed off Sci-Fi. And then some. Because they were on Fox, I would have closed off FS1. Now, FS1 I think is very interesting because Fox canceled SmackDown. Too expensive. They're not getting return on their investment. But FS1 is struggling a little bit, and I think pro wrestling could work on that station because they don't really have these ironclad deals with all these with hockey and baseball and NBA and all this stuff to where that it would be preempted every Thursday. I think that FS1 could be in the market for pro wrestling because of the ratings that they were doing on Fox, and they wouldn't really have to spend a ton of money if they're on FS1. They probably would get a return on their investment because with cable, so like with broadcasting, you only get the money that you get from broadcasting is purely advertising, right? But on cable, you get carriage fees. So, these cable companies, the more ratings you have, the more they're willing to spend to bring you on to their cable tiers, right? And then you get ad revenue on top of that. So, I think a cable station like an FS1 I think that would be a great place for a TNA to land if they're going to go anywhere. Which at this point, I don't I don't know that they're going to be even interested in going anywhere. Now, before I get to the Impact recap, I just want to talk about Allie, the Bunny, former Knockouts champion. She's been in AEW the last 5 years. She's like kind of a day oneer there. She was murdered back in 2018 on Impact Television and has been with AEW ever since. She is now a free agent. There was been rumors back and forth, like people coming out with the Butcher and the Blade were also free agents, and then they would retract it. So I don't know what's going on with those two guys. The short answer for the Bunny is no. I just don't see what value she would bring. Now, I know she used to be in TNA, and people like the fact that people that used to be in TNA come home. Maybe they could do something on a show with her. I just don't like TNA. They don't have this bloated, inflated roster where you can just keep bringing in people on top of people like AEW does. That's just not how they operate. They don't have people on their roster that are just taking up space for the most part. Heath obviously being, but even then, like Heath does produce something for them on television, and he does good job at the live crowds. Like he has a purpose there. So if you're to bring somebody in, you would have to take somebody's spot. And I'm like, I just looking at the roster, and I'm just like, I don't know if I don't know if there's a person on the roster that I would rather have, or that I would rather have less than Allie. Like if we got to bring her in, we got to let somebody go. I mean, that's not exactly true. It doesn't always work that way, but that's the way I'm looking at it. I just don't see what she would bring. Like, she's not good in the ring. She never was. She's not a great promo. It's like, she's average at best. I think, she looks good, clearly. That's about it, though. I just don't. I don't see the value. I don't see the purpose. Other than the fact that she used to be in this company a long time ago. And maybe that people will like that. And then she's got AEW exposure, but look, she didn't exactly knock him dead in AEW. She never did a goddamn thing. She was kind of a window dressing for Butcher and the Blade, and that was about it. Had a couple matches, and when none of the matches any good, except for she had this hardcore match at one point that was pretty good, I think. But other than that, it was just kind of like, why is this person even there? And there were times where I just forgot that she even worked there. Like when people said, "Hey, Allie's gone," I was like, "Oh yeah, I forgot she was even there." So, but look, if enough people want her, they'll probably try to bring her in. I'm sure she's still got friends there, so people like her. I just don't see the point. I don't know. Now, if Butcher and the Blade are available, and you're gonna bring in that whole act, okay, count me in. Count me in for that. I am a Butcher and the Blade fan. I don't think they ever got great opportunities in AEW. I like Butcher Andy Williams. He's a guitar player for Every Time I Die. I'm not a fan of that band. I couldn't tell you 2 songs, but I like his look. He just reminds me of like a 1980s like heel. Like, he should be. He's gonna be on WCW Saturday Night and coming out the curtain, and there's gonna be some like bad body job guy with missing hair and a couple missing teeth, just ready to get squashed. In like 1992 Center Stage. Like, I was just like, I watch him and I'm like, this guy's awesome. He's got a great look. And Braxton Sutter, former TNA guy, he's a very passable pro wrestler. He looks like he's Trent Beretta's twin brother, but he's good. But I think the whole act together, I like that act. So if they were to bring them in, I do see that they could get something out of those guys. I think that would be cool. But oh man, I went damn near 30 minutes on the news because we got some stuff to talk about here on this Impact on Access TV show. So this last week, or this past Thursday night's episode, and then next Thursday's episode, that's gonna be it for your regular TNA Impact programming until 2024. So enjoy it while it lasts. I think the Thanksgiving episode is going to be the turkey trot, and I think they'll do 2 hours talking about that stupid turkey match. They will waste your fucking time with that whole thing. So that's what we're looking at there. And then in December, I don't know what they got coming up. I know they have they're doing an event in Mexico this month, but I don't know if they're taping that for television. And if somebody knows if that's the case, please let me know. I just don't know that that's being taped for television. I don't know if that's a Fight TV thing or what. If that's going to be kind of, like what they do with New Japan. I don't know. Hold on. Swig of coffee for AAA. But I did like this episode. I thought this was a really good episode. Really good wrestling on this show. So the show opens up. Tasha Steelz defeating Deonna Purrazzo. Deonna Purrazzo getting beat like a drum. She is gone. But I liked this match. This is the best Tasha Steelz match I've ever seen. I thought they tore it down. A really good opening match. I don't get why they're just continuing to beat the shit out of Deonna. It's like what did she do to you guys? Like, I get that she's leaving, but come on, this is weird. It's almost like excessive at this point. It's like you're trying to. I know they're trying to get her to put over people on the way out, but the more she loses, the less her losses mean. If that makes sense. Like, she loses every single match on the way out. So therefore, the people that are beating her, they're just beating someone that loses all the time. So therefore, you're not getting over. It makes no sense to me. So I think that they think that she's putting people, but she is not. Now, this match was a good match. we're proving that Tasha can have a good match. That's all we proved, right? But Tasha didn't just elevate her stock to where she's going to be, back in the title picture. She didn't, and she's not. So she's good though. Next to Alex Shelley cut a promo backstage. He put over his challenger Jonathan Gresham as a world title competitor, but stated that he would retain the belt. And then Bullet Club's Ace Austin and Chris Bay were backstage with Santino, and they were interrupted by Kenny King and Sheldon Jean. King demanded a rematch for the digital media title, but Marella instead gave King and Jean a shot at the Bullet Club's Impact Tag Team titles. This was weird. So Kenny King wants his rematch for the digital media title, but instead he gets a tag title match, which is more prestigious, which would help his understudy in Sheldon Jean. But he appeared to be mad about that. I don't know if it was just like poor acting or poor writing, probably both. But he should be happy about that. It's like the tag titles have been around forever. There's more prestige with the tag titles. Who gives a shit about that digital media title? I certainly don't. But he seemed to be upset. And then how would Sheldon Jean supposed to feel? Like, wait a minute, you're mad about this? Now I'm getting a title shot. You should be happy. You should be happy for me. This is weird. So, I didn't know about that. And then we go to the bathroom break match. A buddy of mine that was at the show said that he actually saw some of the other wrestlers in the bathroom at the same time. When he's like, "Oh, Tommy Dreamer's coming out. I'm gonna go take a piss." And then apparently so did some of the wrestlers. But this match sucked. It wasn't much to it. It ended because Tommy Dreamer stabbed Crazy Steve in the head with a fork. All of a sudden, there's disqualifications in Tommy Dreamer matches. It's like the one match that there's ever been a disqualification in. So. Yeah, not good. Looks like we're gonna get another one, maybe a final resolution. Who knows? And then Jonathan Gresham was interviewed by Gia, and he stated that he would bring true honor to Impact's ring by any means necessary. So we've got full-blown heel Jonathan Gresham here. And then Brian. Oh, you know what? I don't remember the outcome of the Brian Myers Joe Hendry match. I could have, you know what? Myers defeated Joe Hendry, but I'm trying to remember. I think he might have had help. I might have to look that one up. I watched the match, but man, it was 2 nights ago. I don't remember what happened. But I do remember Joe Hendry came out and they said that they're changing Myers' name from Edge's bitch to Adam's bitch because Edge is now Adam in AEW. He's one of the several Adams in AEW. There are a lot of Adams in that company. And Roderick Strong yells at them all like a fucking idiot. But yeah, so forgive me on that one. I don't remember what happened. The Fightful rundown says that Myers defeated Joe Hendry, and that's all it says. There's no context. I'm trying to remember exactly what happened. So let me look at that a little bit more. And then there was a video package promoting the match between Josh Alexander and Will Ospreay for next week. After the video, Ospreay was interviewed by Gia. Ospreay put over Alexander, saying that he had everything to be one of the best wrestlers in the world, but wanted to find out if he belonged to the conversation in their match next week. So he said Josh is one of the best in the world, but he is a world beater, bruv. And apparently this match was fucking insanity, and I can't wait. Will Ospreay just had a heck of a run here at Impact, and I hope we get at least one TNA match with him, but who knows? And the next we go to the Battle of TNA Legends. 2 former TNA champions. Eric Young defeated Eddie Edwards. So the finish came. I remember this finish. They don't actually put the written recap. I need to go back to Josiah's reports. But the finish came when Alicia Edwards was trying to hit Eric Young with the kendo stick, but hit Eddie instead. And then Eric Young got the pile driver and got the victory. I liked this match. I like these guys. Here's what I think they're going to do with these guys. I think that Eric Young and Josh Alexander will be wrestling Eddie Edwards and Kazarian at Hard to Kill. I don't know that for a fact. That's just my prediction. I think that's where they go with that. But as we get closer, we'll get more matches announced for Hard to Kill. And I hope they announce some big stuff because they need help. And then Moose congratulated Brian Myers on his win backstage, but Myers complained to Moose for not being a ringside for the match. Heath interrupted, and the two called his shot at Myers, but Moose told him that if he was messing with Myers, he was messing with him. He said that he would speak to Santino and book a match for the two next week. I think this is going to be the next week will be the last time we see Heath in this promotion, and I'm good with that. Sonny Kiss was then interviewed backstage. Kiss said that she wanted to win the Call Your Shot Gauntlet to get a shot at the Knockouts title, but that would have to wait until later. Impact champion Trinity interrupted and said that she would just give Kiss a shot at the title. Look, you don't have to win a goddamn thing. If you're a nice person, they'll just give you a shot. Fabulous. Kiss appreciated the way TNA does business. So there you go. So I think we're getting that next week. And then we got Dirty Dango and Oleg Prudius defeat Storm Grayson and Nick Diamond. So this was Prudius's first match in 12 years, and this was his debut match for Impact, and he went in there and just beat the crap out of these guys. He did not look impressive in the Call Your Shot Gauntlet. He looked like he had 2 left feet, like he hadn't done anything in 12 years. That's why. And then last night, Thursday night, I actually thought he looked kind of good. My man's wearing a t-shirt in the ring, so it kind of, I'm a little scared about that, but I thought brother might be jacked. So the fact he was wearing a t-shirt tells me he's probably not jacked. He's wearing some military fatigues, so I think that kind of goes in line with maybe he's like a Russian soldier or something like that, or a Ukrainian soldier. So, but I thought this was cool, man. Look, I'm one of the only Oleg fans, like me and Io and apparently Joel Pearl. We're the 3 guys that like Oleg. So I kind of like what they're doing with Oleg. He beat the shit out of these guys, and then Dango went in and got the pin. Old school heel stuff. Then we go to Jordan Grace. She cut a promo backstage to say that she would win the Knockouts title at Hard to Kill. But then she's interrupted by Bully Ray and Kylan King. First, it was Bully Ray. He was complimenting her on her trophy, and then Kylan King interrupted, and then it gets revealed that Bully Ray actually trained Kylan King, and he was trying to teach her a lesson. Steve Macklin shows up, calls Bully Ray soft again, and then they left, and it looks like we're going to get a mixed tag match next week. And then the Rascals, they cut a backstage promo, and then they introduced the former MLW, I believe, Cruiserweight champion, Myron Reed, who has been teaming with Miguel and Wentz on the Indies as part of the Rascals. He was kind of their 4th Rascal. He's like Pete Best, But Reed said that he was now uncaged and sent out a warning to the entire Impact roster. So it looks like he's here. I don't know if he's signed because he also did some Ring of Honor tapings recently. But I like this addition. I think it adds to the act here. And Myron Reed is a really good wrestler. So I've never been a fan of his ring gear and things like that. So maybe he can improve that. Maybe he just needs more money and he can buy new ring gear. But he was wearing that chest protector that D'Lo Brown was wearing. I was like, what are you doing? I was like, he's just trying to cover up the fact he ain't got no muscles. So just get in the gym, bro. Come on. Your job is to wrestle in your underwear. Get thick. But then we go to the main event, the Impact World Championship match. Alex Shelley, Jonathan Gresham. Now, I typically will do this every week, but when I do it, it's important. If you only want to watch one thing from this match, and Impact has already uploaded the entire match to their YouTube channel, this would be the match. This was fucking beautiful. This was an awesome, awesome match. And I think it's going to be the best match that nobody ever sees. It's not getting a ton of praise because not a ton of people watched it. And honestly, you got to stick with it. It's very chain wrestling, and they're telling a story about Jonathan Gresham turning heel. Like, he's doing heel tactics throughout the match. But so it takes a little bit to get warmed up. But, about halfway through, god damn, they pick it up, and it's a great, great match. It's one of my favorite Impact matches all year. It really is. Like, it's not as good as Speedball Ospreay. I would say it's a step below Macklin and Josh Alexander, but it's right there in that top 5. And as far as television matches go, it's probably right at the top. I'd have to do some research to see which ones I like better, but because we get good matches damn near every week now. But this is one of the best. Like, these guys killed it. And I love the fact that they just let him go. And part of the reason why they let him go is because the show's dead. So we just gotta like put out some good matches, which I'm cool with. Right? There wasn't a ton of storylines going on, but that's okay. I think this is a great match, and I loved it, and I think that everybody should go out of the way to watch it. It's probably a top 5 match from Impact during the whole year. And it should get some votes from the Impact fans for match of the year for their promotion. It's great stuff. Now, lastly, before I go, this was on my list to talk about. I'm going to do a share screen here. And we got breaking news after Impact was over. It was announced that at Final Resolution, Saturday, December 9th, so this is going to be the Dan Karlov Arena. This is like part of the Destiny Wrestling gym, I think. They've done some TV shows here in the past, back in some of the darker times of Impact. You probably only get it's like a television studio almost. You get maybe 200 people in there. But this is, while they are overhauling their production stuff, and they're going to go to Toronto and do a show there, probably using some indie crews. But we get Motor City Machine Guns will be taking on Josh Alexander and one Zack Sabre Jr. making his TNA debut. I love Zack Sabre Jr. I actually have in my queue right now to watch his he wrestled Speedball last night at the New Japan show. So, but he's just fantastic, and I hope we get more dates on him than just this, because if it's just this show and just a tag team match, it's kind of a waste. Not necessarily a waste, but I just want to see more. I'd like to see him mix it up. I'd like to see him and Shelley have a world title match, do 25 minutes. Especially after that match that I saw with Gresham last night. I'd like to see him defend his title against Gresham. I think that would be really good. I'd like to see him take on Chris Sabin, Frankie Kazarian, do the Speedball match here. I'd like to get some matches with this guy. Let's see what he's got. Let's see what he can bring to TNA. But again, man, so disappointing that New Japan is going head to head with Hard to Kill. so I'm hoping that we get a couple of those New Japan guys over. If not, it's going to be tough selling these tickets unless they pull off a big coup and sign a big top name free agent that can actually move tickets. So that's going to be tough. But so yeah, this week's Impact, I really enjoyed. I don't think many people watched it as we're in the lame duck period. But there's still lots to talk about in the world of Impact Wrestling and TNA Wrestling. So I will be back next Saturday probably and doing another Brace for Impact for everybody. So I really appreciate you guys joining me. Just tell all your friends to head to patreon.com/TheMikeandJD Show to get more of this content. Okay. And until next time, mahalo.